Mom, I don't want to go to bed. Child, it's way past your bedtime. It's 11:30. Mom, will you tell me a story? Oh, okay. I'm going to tell you about two Asian Americans who, despite their obstacles, created vibrant works of poetry. Once upon a time, there was a woman who felt displaced in society. She struggled with her identity as both Asian and American. What did it mean to be separate from her people? Who were her people, and where could she truly call home? Kathy Song's birth certificate labeled her Korean and Chinese. But what did this mean? The kids around her felt grounded, knowing they had found their niche in a stable and constant environment. Yet Kathy Song was always traveling, following her father wherever his profession took him as a professional pilot. In the earliest stages of her childhood, she grew embedded in a small plantation town on the island of Oahu. Gradually, she began writing poems as an outlet for her internal struggles, many of which took place on the island. She felt isolated until she met John Unterrecher, her teacher. Inspired by him, she continued to chronicle her thoughts. Song later continued to earn a bachelor's degree from Wellesley College and a master's of fine arts from Boston University. While in Boston, she met her husband, who was a medical student at Tufts University at the time. In 1987, the two returned to Honolulu, where she lives now, combining her writing with teaching creative writing to students at several universities. See, even though we live here in Hawaii with little, there are inspiring stories like these that give us a glimpse of success. Tomorrow, I will read some of her poems to you. But you'll notice a common focus that revolves around dimensions of her life that were important to her, such as family and the moral ties that bind women to children and parents, as well as what binds individuals to their communities, to their traditions, and to their homelands. Mom, are all poets girls? No. Lee Young would definitely give you a hard no on that one. Who's Lee Lee? Okay, I think you'll like this story. Once upon a time, there was turbulence in China. Countless refugees were forced to flee from their home country and seek refuge in Indonesia. Born to two Chinese political exiles in 1957 was a baby named Lee Young Lee. He was surrounded by one of the most esteemed and powerful families in China. His great-grandfather was even the first president of the Republic of China. However, not all was well. As seeds of darkness and hatred were sown in Indonesia, the natives began to resent the Chinese. Lee's father was seized and jailed as a political prisoner for 12 months. Upon his release, he begged the family to flee through Hong Kong, Macau, and Japan. Upon arriving in the United States, Lee's parents finally made one last move to settle in Pennsylvania. Here, Lee attended seminary and became a Presbyterian minister in a small community of Vandergrift. Lee was greatly influenced by his father, who read to him greatly every night before bed. But he did not begin writing until he was a student at the University of Pittsburgh. We will read his poems soon, and you'll notice he uses a ton of silence and skillful repetition. His Chinese heritage is extremely evident, as you'll get a glimpse of the influence of his Chinese masters. He utilizes their simplicity and strength. If you ever want to meet him, he's in your favorite city, Chicago, where he lives with his wife and two sons. Ugh, okay, fine. But only because you seem to be so enthusiastic to learn more about your heritage. Kathy Song and Lee Young Lee are just two Asian Americans we've discussed. Asian Americans are expected to number more than 40 billion by 2050. That means Asian Americans, like us, will make up 8% of the world's population. I'd say that's pretty impressive considering Asian American poetry didn't even become influential in American society until the 1970s. I'm sure Kathy Song and Lee Young Lee would be fascinated by the recent cultural fusion because Asian American poets do enjoy reflecting on how cultures engage with one another. Okay, that's actually enough for tonight. It really is time for you to go to bed. Which means peaceful poetry makes the world go round. Good night.